right, here we are. Thank you for coming to tonight's presentation. We have here Andy Belanger. He's going to be giving us some of the nuggets of truth that he's collected over the last 35 years of working with holistic health clinics and practices. Andy has got 3 degrees from 2 colleges and 1 university. He knows his stuff. He's taught with all the different major naturopathic medicine schools. We're going to be sharing some insights that, listening to Andy, encountering his work, I don't see some of this stuff presented anywhere else. It's not written in any book. We have here an expert who has cultivated years and years of experience and insight into what makes naturopathic and other functional health clinics work. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Andy.
First thing is, thank you, first of all, for all of you for being here this evening, it's in an evening. I'm from Eastern Canada, so it's a little bit later than it is on the West Coast. We just finished a successful 3-day interactive workshop, ozone workshop with Dr. Brendan Cochran, Arizona, and Scottsdale, Arizona, and it went absolutely fantastic. Dr. Cochran worked on a tool, and I was in the back with the admin staff doing the business of health. And that's what this is about. So for this particular evening, I want you to take off your health provider's hat. I want you to put on that business hat. I'm going to challenge you to some commitments. I'm going to challenge you in making some decisions. And all of the challenges is to benefit you. Why I'm so adamant and passionate about what I have to offer to the holistic care industry is we all have a story of some kind. Doesn't have to be as dramatic as others, but as was stated, been to 2 universities, 1 college, took logistical administration, accounting, economics, and broadcast journalism. So diversified educational portfolio, to speak. But when I graduated, I had my mentor advisor open my mind up from the linear approach to the more lateral, but also the intuitive. And within that, was able to develop and really grow my own personal skill set. Well, the mentor or person that guided me ended up passing away. He was 51 years old. What he said the night before he passed away, and I was with him in his room, and his very best friend, who was a licensed naturopath chiropractor, a holistic healthcare provider, said, "You were right. I worked on my mind and not my body." And that person that was my mentor was my father. So I've dedicated my life to those people in all the health fields who are passionate about helping people. And that's what HEROES stands for. HEROES is an acronym, helping everyone realize opportunities. And that's what we want to do. We want everyone to win. If it isn't win, 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 win across the board, I challenge and say why we do this. Some of the first things you have to understand, the holistic healthcare has a fiscal year to it. So the holistic healthcare has a fiscal year. It doesn't go from January to December. It actually goes from September to the end of August. So September to August is the health year. It does shift for certain individuals as their specialty and their experience and their focus areas grow. But to begin with, we always start with an understanding, do we have cycles? The health industry has cycles, especially for holistic healthcare field. In the holistic healthcare field, the cycle, the first quarter is September 15th to December 15th, with the power months being October and November. It seems that when the kids are back in school, adults and parents take care of themselves a little bit more dynamically. Then the second is between December 15th and January 15th. It's the shortest block of the year. And when you're doing comprehensive care, and it backs down a bit because of Christmas. And so what we do see, and it's great for the holistic healthcare providers, that you can take a break. You can take Christmas off. I mean, a number of my docs that I work with have that 1 to 2 week period set aside for time for their own family. This is pretty cool. Now, if you're doing with acute care, you could be going all year round. But if it's chronic, you do see a flux. The second or the third quarter is from January 15th until June 15th. And in that particular quarter, it could be 60 to 65% of your total revenue. February and March are definitely peak times when it comes to health. And April slows down a little bit. May does a little bit of recovery. June, it begins the last particular quarter, June 15th to September 15th, and summer playtime. And again, we see a dip down. Remember, your particular year may also adjust, but making decisions within a cyclical model is really important to understand. Because if we put too much inventory in the summer, if we buy tons of products, it's not going to be as effective because it's not going to move as well. Having inventory on December 31st, for many of you, your tax year is December 31st, so you want, in essence, a depleted inventory because you cannot deduct or expense products you have not purchased yet. So understanding the cycles, and especially for marketing, what to be able to proactively plan and actively deliver. What we end up doing is that, marketing is in June, you strategize what you do for September, October, November. In September, it's December, January, February. And so if you're a quarter ahead all the time, you can start pre-launching some ideas. You can start maneuvering things forward. So understanding that we are governed, the entire industry, the holistic industry, within a cycle that runs from September 1st to August 31st. There is a movement happening out there. And what I will let you know from all the research, from evidence that's out there, these are the best of times for people. We're in the early stages who are passionate about holistic healthcare field. Okay, click start. Thank you. So our philosophy is tackle the challenge of today, plan for the gifts of tomorrow, understand the lessons of yesterday. So my first overview to you is to please understand there is a health year. Number two, when it comes to this, it's really important. And this is a key particular request or challenge. You need to allocate a time where you're working on the business of business. This series is part of what we call the business of health. The health of business is where the passion that most health providers in all fields focus on. They focus on all kinds of issues of learning a new skill, another technique, another methodology. Whenever you make a decision of a deliverable, and that's what we call everything that we provide, you need to set up the back end, which is called the business of health. The greatest weakness for most is the business of health. You want to be efficient, you want freedom, you want to reduce your frustration, you understand what's going on. It's all within the business that balances it out. And I suggest that you allocate a block of time. And when I get asked, well, how much time? A 3-hour block per week, where your focus is on your business as a businessman or a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur, paying attention. So tackle the challenge today, plan for the gifts tomorrow, understand the lessons of yesterday. We are in the early stages of accelerated holistic healthcare. And I'll explain as to how I know that and see if you agree and or disagree. So these in taking charge as a business person are the 10 key points. And we're basically just going to focus at this one, at the very top one. Know your health market inside and out, today and the future. The challenge that I see with many health providers is that they look at the world through their bubble. They look and pay attention just to what's happening inside their world and try to fit what they have into a community. I'm going to give you 3 key points of what I see happening. 3 key points in what I see happening. Number 1, there is an evolving health consciousness movement. It's not a revolution. It's not a paradigm shift. It's an evolution, which means it takes time for it to get through. What has happened in our society for the last 2.5 years has accelerated it exponentially. Where I recognize it was in 2016. And I noticed a shifting more. And the whole ignition of this was literally driven by the moms, in my opinion. It was moms who said, enough is enough. And it was around food. It was food. The greatest exploration from all age limits, from all economic levels, is food. There's the biggest curiosity. If you're not in your social media talking about food, and we're not talking about the science of food, we're talking about the benefits of food. When you see what's happening out there, take a look, the proof. Mainstream grocery stores have expanded their holistic choices. I will say that meat is in trouble. I will say dairy is in trouble. You look at what the grocery stores are doing. I would even go as far as say health food stores are going to be also in trouble because you have mainstream jumping into areas that were before exclusivity was for the was for the health food store industry. So you're seeing this massive shift. I've been saying this for a number of years. I don't get kickback, meaning yes. So again, so if that's correct, there's an evolving health consciousness. What's happened in the last 2 years have accelerated it to me exponentially. And we're in a phase of a new health model. And the model is the second biggest issue is going to be proactive health. I want you to remember that word. I want you to start using that word in your literature. I want you to start talking about it. When you talk about proactive health, it is different than prevention. Proactive says if you do these things, great things will happen. Prevention says if you do these things, evil things will happen. No one can tell me that anyone wants to go through what we've gone through the last 2.5 years again. Do you think moms with their families ever want to do this again? I don't think so. Do you think businesses want to go through this again? I don't think so. Do you think city government want to go through this? Do you think state or federal or global want to go through this? I've often stated in the past, the one thing that can throw a world into a depression is health. The evidence speaks for itself. Health is going to be a primary focus, or is already, in people's plans, in businesses' plans, in government plans, but not a reactive model. The reactive model is in essence where all the competition is, and the holistic model definitely is going to take grassroots and all of that and expand, but it's going to be those of you who venture into a proactive strategy, working in essence with the healthier people, creating the maintenance routines and programs and packages. That's where the demand is going to be because of everything that happened. Once more, I rarely get kickback. Everybody says, yeah, that makes sense. That is right. Then the third thing, there's two things that's happening when it comes to the market. Number one, there's a shift in age. When it comes to health, age is the single most important factor to look at because people spend differently at different points of their life. There's only two areas that has a constant uphill trend when it comes to spending and age. Number one is technology. And what do you think number two is? Number two is health. It's the health industry. So people are investing in their health ongoing, or they're spending money because they're having health concerns ongoing. So you're sitting in one of the most dynamic markets when it comes to age of opportunity. There's not a negative cycle to it. However, if you're into the high cost healthcare, you're basically minimizing your opportunities, but trying to figure out how health fits. And that's where the proactive health comes in, because if someone invests X amount, $100 a month. What I've also discovered is that people are now spending, especially the millennials, between $150 to $200 a month on supplementation. They're going into the health food stores and the prime grocery stores where supplements are being sold or online, $150 to $200 a month. So there is that movement. So let's work through it again. Evolving health consciousness, proactive health. And then the third, the one The one group that creates change in the entire society when it comes to health are women. So the third thing that we see happening is women are becoming leaders. My particular statement, women are taking over the world. It is your time. Women, when it comes to health, make 95% of the decisions. And what happened, I recognized in 2016, it was the moms that said enough is enough. So when you take a look at what's happening out there, and I'm sharing with you what we call as an hourglass approach. At the top, the evolving health consciousness. Yes, everybody's saying proactive. Yes, women are becoming leaders. Yes, it leads down to, and where's the center of this, of an hourglass? It's what you have to offer. It's what you actually offer. And what is it that you offer? If you look at point number 2, you have deliverables. Deliverables are a word we use for absolute everything that you offer, but with qualitative, quantitative, measurable results. This is an age of outcome-based medicine. That's what people want. Fit the want, grow the need. So deliverables in the center with QQM results. If there's a niche, when I get asked what to look for, who ignited the evolving health consciousness, professionals, entrepreneurs, athletes are the 3 greatest audiences. But who is the primary focus going forward that's going to evolutionize the whole health industry? It's busy women. Women doing multiple things at the exact same time. You want to talk about who are the true champions in this last health crisis? It was the stay-at-home mom, working moms who had to literally take on multiple roles at the same time. They excelled and succeeded. What you have at the bottom of the hourglass is all your deliverables. It's all the things you do to help people. Why do we do all this? And everything else in between there is basically on the slides below, is number 10. I have a burning desire to help as many people as possible. That's my passion with sharing this with you, because I believe, and there's enough evidence out there that says if you do not take care of the back end, the business, what happens at the front end may not be as effective. You can be the most amazing doctor in the world, the amazing practitioner in the world, the amazing technician, the most amazing health coach. But if you don't have the business acumen inside there, you're going to hit wall after wall after wall. These are our take charge 10 points. So that being said, when we take a look at the next one, these are the 4 pillars. These are foundational. Hey, you've been in practice for 10 years, whether you've been in practice for 1 month, whether you have a degree in something, or you're just a passionate health provider. These are the 4 foundational pillars in which to optimize everything. You have to, in essence, when you put that business hat on, develop the foundation, develop these pillars. You build the building from the basement up. You don't start at the top of the penthouse. You know, yes, I believe in mission statement. I believe in visions. I believe in benchmarks and goals. But what will get you there is foundations in each of these pillars and strategies and how you do each thing. What we do within this particular program are concept. Who do you think's got to do the homework? Every clinic is different. The concepts that we're going to share with you this evening that we do in our workshops are literally global. They can be done absolutely anywhere on the planet. 2 weeks ago, I was working, doing an evening presentation with a shot clinic in India. And we were just walking through all these pillars. So the concepts are universal. I've worked with clinics in Switzerland and in England and in New Zealand, and they are all the same. So you need to solidify these. You have to strengthen them up. You have to create the material and the tools and the techniques within each one. So operations is the area that does the work. Marketing is the area that brings. Administration is the finance that monitors, and leadership, the overall direction of it. Learn these 4 words, because if you have a bottleneck or a weakness, you go to the area and you make it strong. You need all 4 of them strong. There we go. These are all the different things that you have to do within each one. And within our business series, of course, we absolutely cover every single one. The key word that often comes along with this is, man, there's a lot of stuff here. This is overwhelming. Absolutely. Make no denying it. It's definitely a lot to be done. What did I first start? Allocate 3 hours a week into the business of health. Where do you think you're going to start strengthening up these areas for yourself? You cannot abdicate anything within these areas. In other words, I'm going to give my finances for some third party. You're the one that understands the finances. Yes, you can have a third party doing something within the finances, but the finances is an area you're going to have to make decisions on. It's the same thing with anything we do. You don't have to be an expert in all of these areas in every aspect, but you have to be an expert in your particular area within business. For example, when it comes to those of you who have liability insurance, you don't have to be an expert on all the different areas of liability insurance, but you have to know how it works for you. Like within my liability insurance, which means if I get hurt, I get coverage. But it's said that if I'm still able to do my quote job, then it wouldn't cover me. My job is talking. So if I'm paralyzed from the neck down, it literally wouldn't cover me because I can still talk to people. So we clarified all that. I'm an expert in every single little area that has an impact to me. I didn't gain that expertise in a week. It was over time, and it was allocating that time to being a student, as a businessman, the businesswoman, and that's what we're trying to develop. I wanted just 3 hours a week to balance all the different areas you do within the health of business. And then with that strength, you can take this and do incredible things with it. That's the thing is, this isn't something that you have to do all the time, every day, 8 hours a day. No, we're just allocating specific time, especially if we run into a systemic approach. For many people, when we get more into this, this is the most important homework you will ever do. Deliverables, remember what we offer. This is a logistical formula that I've developed over 35 years. It goes with methodology, the way we do things, divided by the tools and skills we use, and the way we do things can produce a result that we can qualify, quantify, and measure. Every one of your primary deliverables or the things you offer should have a clear treatment formula attached to it. When you work on this, this is the center core of everything that you do. It is literally the center that everything gets built around. The entrepreneurial risk factor that each and every one of you take is choosing which deliverables, which services, which programs, which packages that you're ending up putting out into the marketplace. That's the business 101 risk. If you do not choose the right condition, then there's no one going to be seeing. You may be passionate about toe fungus. Not that toe fungus isn't a big issue, but if there's not a lot of people suffering from it and you're offering that, there's going to be economic struggle. The finances communicate whether something is working or not. So when you're looking at what you have to offer, yes, it could be a marketing issue, but I've seen it's because we have the wrong deliverable. It may not be the right one, or where you are on your journey, on your health journey. So for example, there was a student many years ago whose father passed away from cancer. He was incredibly passionate about cancer care. But when he graduated, I told him, you just can't focus on that. It has to be others. He goes, no, Mike, I really want to do this because of what happened in my family. The realistic challenge was, do you think someone whose cancer is going to see someone who just graduated out of college or university for their designation? I'm going to go see someone with that serious of an issue who has 8 or 9 or 10 years or longer, has a reputation. So my recommendation was just to shift it to as a secondary, not what we call in business a flagship, or the ones at various points who press really hard. We asked them to do this particular flagship, say, like, why don't we leave this till later on? He didn't want to shift, and he's no longer practicing. And he was an incredibly talented, gifted, a phenomenal human being, but it was the business choices that literally was his hindrance. I mean, his passion, bar none, very few people could touch it. But making decisions as a business person, sometimes you have to look at it from a different perspective, and that's what I'm asking you to do. So the bottom line is, so what do? Choose 12 conditions. You're the business person, choose 12 conditions. The 13th is everything else. And list micro conditions, which are not so serious, macro, which can be serious. List which is the ones. And when we work with people, we ask them, why did you choose this? And if you use the word I feel, not know that based on my research, there was this demand out there, or this is what's happening now in the present. If you just go by your feeling, then you're going to have some challenges. If you're being challenged in your business today, it may be just the decisions that you've made got there. Now, it doesn't mean you eliminate, and it doesn't mean you compromise that much. I said that much. It means you may have to short-term do some compromising, is to take a look at it. So your treatment formula becomes a key part. It actually becomes the most valuable asset that you will ever create for your journey. Because when you do this and you have these all detailed out, and that's what we walk through, is we show you the structure and how to literally map these out. It goes on forever. It also allows every decision you make fit. Oh, I'm going to take this particular course. Oh, I'm going to learn a skill. Oh, so I can put into my treatment formula. I need to shift this methodology. I'm going to go learn this new therapy. I'm exploring this piece of equipment, because everything is around outcome-based medicine. It's outcome-based medicine time. 3 things that define success in this day and age. Number 1, outcome-based medicine. Absolutely. Number 2, positive client experience. Number 3, dynamic personalities. When you put those 3 together, you truly has an equation for unlimited opportunities. The next particular slide is the patient strategy, the overall plan. You go from a take charge with someone who comes and sees you, you keep moving them into active with your ultimate is a wellness model. Now, I will tell you, I'm not a fan of that word. It's their health goal. People in this day and age, people are not interested in optimal health. There will be a time they're interested in improved health. We've had studies done, and I suggest you do this with your own, because you'll actually see the evidence very clearly, I believe, from each and every one of you. When they look at their inactive files, we actually identified why they left. We also know that the majority of the people in holistic healthcare leave between the 4th and 6th visit. What do you think the primary reason that people leave? The primary reason people leave is because they felt better. 96-some-odd% was they felt better. You're doing an amazing job. What we've seen is that when they're done with you, they're done with you. So we call the active health strategy, there's a cliff. But guess what? Moving into a proactive health model builds a bridge secondary. They finish with their active, they move into proactive. And your passion for everyone is to getting into this model right here. This is what every industry, every family wants in one form of another, is a form of optimal health. So some people who are not and really, really sick, and those are the ones that I believe are going to be the most opportunistic, you take them into the proactive health phase. Then if they have an issue, into active. But what's our goal? Here. So there's a journey to the right, take charge, enhancement, continuing, going here, take charge, enhancement, I'm done with you, moving into my maintenance, then going here. There's another core group, a much larger group who want to take charge of their health, moms, businesses. You move them into a proactive model. And then if they have an issue, then you move them to active. Then you keep going them into back possibly proactive or proactive straight to wellness. This is what we call 100% market share strategy. Now, you have to create all the content. You have to create the models and to make it work, but this makes sense to do. So you hear these two words, proactive and active. So on the next slide, this is an example, and we use analogies, and this is what I'm very well known for. And I get a little plug to my very good friend, Dr. Dixon Tom, and any ND who's been around, who've heard of me, he and I did the Health of Business, Business of Health series. And this was a concept that I developed within that called the river of health. At the top of the river, the water is clear. At the bottom of the river, the water is polluted. Our goal is to move people up to the source, and the source is their health goal. And you have different health issues somewhere along. You need to develop health strategies, macro, serious, micro, macro, midstream, micro. This is the journey up to their health. So our active healthcare model is a river. Why do I use a river? People understand what a river is. When it comes to what you do, I don't have a clue what you do, because we don't take the same type of science. I just want to know, can blueberries help me poop again? I don't need to understand everything there is to know about antioxidants. See, you want to educate us all, it massively overwhelms us. What we want to know is, can you help me with my boo-boo? 35 years helping phenomenal, diversified from private health coaches, lay people, all the way to doctors with multiple medical degrees. I call them boo-boos, because that's what we learn the language of, is you have to learn and work with us with our boo-boos. So the river is an example of an active. You need to develop a whole active healthcare model. Then, of course, this is what I'm really excited about going forward around, is the 4 seasons of health concept, proactive health strategies. How can you work with people who will come and see you 4 times a year? It doesn't even have to be a program or a package. It can be a lifestyle, working with you as their health coach, as their mentor, as their guides in their healthy journey, not just in the reactive care when they have a problem. This past 2 years has ignited and begun the seeding, I believe, of this particular concept. And if you can start developing some of your deliverables to fit this, you're going to start seeing some new opportunities. Anybody that's interested in going after corporate health, 4 seasons is definitely the methodology in which to go there. What tools are you going to use? What's the methodology? What skills are required? How do you measure results, the qualitative, quantitative, measurable? This is, to me, the future. And why you hear me keep saying in all this around holistic healthcare, it doesn't matter what your designations or your skill set, we're looking for people who can help us. I believe the whole designation thing is going to be a secondary reason why we choose. And this is happening and accelerating now. So you have to map out your treatment formulas, understand the whole market, map out strategies for active and proactive. This is where, in essence, your passion lies. That being said, you also need to be taking care of this other stuff. These are the 7 primary systems. There are 7 critical systems you need to optimize for effectiveness and efficiency. I hear people who are frustrated, they're working long hours. They are, things don't seem to be working well with their staff, and just, it's because of the systems. I believe systems are the foundation that allow good people to excel. These are the 7 most important systems to optimize and make sure they're running and be done the way you want it to. This is not an EMR. So I was once presented to review an EMR, and the rep was giving me a whole sales pitch, telling me, oh, this is what it does and what it does. And I interrupted him after about 7 minutes. And I said, I got to say, I really don't care what it does. I want to know how it fits. This is what we're needing with a return patient, with a new patient, with a periodic checkup, with the way we do our billing, which the scheduling, our routines, the beginning of the day, our inventory management. I want to know if it fits that. And when you're ready to explain that to me, give us a call back, because right now it just doesn't work. Then he actually relinked it to all of this, and it was actually a great presentation. It's not a hammer. It's not a screwdriver. It's not a wrench that's important. It's the methodology that we use that. What is the goal? The same thing, outcome-based medicine, result-focused system. So these are the 7. If these aren't working efficiently, there's going to be all kinds of bottleneck. We spend a significant amount of time in our presentation covering these and making a list of things you have to do, which you're doing for yourself under the concept umbrella, so that you can free up your time. If you're working 14 hours a day, there's definitely a systems issue. The other cool thing, when you repair one micro component of a step within any of these, usually 6 or 7 other things get resolved too. You want to have balance in your life? Optimize schedules, do your 7 primary systems. Optimize your time. That's what this is all about. The most valuable asset you have is time. 6 stages of flow. And this is something I'm really passionate about. We talked about positive client experience, contact, coming to, sitting, treatment, leaving, at home. We are judged in every single one of these areas. We are judged by the patient in every single one. If I like you, I will tell 3 others. If I dislike you, I will tell 300. When we do this effectively, efficiently, and we optimize a checklist in each one of these, you get return visits, and you also get what we call raving fans, who will literally fill your clinic up with people. You see this particular stage over here, you go, what's sitting mean? One of the biggest frustration in surveys that we've done, frustration surveys, one of the biggest frustration is waiting. Well, we call it sitting because, to me, the reason why this is here is critical for this. The first step to healing, we believe, belongs in the sitting phase, because how we set the emotional foundation here defines often how well this is done. And then we have another step afterwards called leaving, which is, make another appointment and pay your bill. Do you see how critical these? And of course, we all say the at-home experience, and that's where communiques and communications happen. So in optimizing operations, the 7 primary systems and the 6 stages of flow are absolutely critical. And usually your operating manual, your standard operating procedures are linked to these 13. This is something, if you have staff, this is where staff excel at. Look, ultimate goal is what? To fire you from the micro. If you have staff or an assistant, and if you don't have an assistant, if you're new, I'm telling you, one of the most important investments to start out is getting a helper. Work on these 13. Everything that you work within these one. And the whole goal of day 1 is around this particular area, establishing your foundation. You have to work on the flow, because a person, contact, coming to, I'm going to the place, I'm sitting, waiting for my treatment. You now go through with me the treatment. I'm then leaving, paying my bill, and I'm at home. It all has an impact on how you are judged. Word of mouth marketing is right here, folks. You want to talk about word of mouth as being the most important? This is it, how you optimize this. Now, for those of you who are doing also telehealth, you use this contact, connecting to the internet, waiting for it to start, now doing the telehealth treatment, signing off, and then afterwards. You can use this model for absolutely anything. So I want you just to own these 13, memorize it. If you have staff, have them work on all this stuff. The more that you get staff to own this, then the better it's going to be for you, because it'll free you up to do what you want to do. The key why we want an assistant, they're going to work on all the back end and excel in while you free yourself up. Now, if you're a single person operations, you got to optimize a schedule where you can do this back end. But you can even do it if you're just on your own. It's how it's all set up. The biggest issue when it comes to most people in practice today is implosions, meaning, we just don't have enough time and everything else because we have not set up the foundation. We started our practice with a very shaky foundation. We use toothpicks to hold it up. Well, maybe it doesn't affect you when you're on the first floor, but when you start adding, it will eventually implode all over the place. This is part of our greatest weakness. You're passionate about helping people. Allocate a foundation and time to build this, and then you will be able to help a lot more people. Remember point 10 of our take charge. The next particular slide is, what do you have to address each one to create a positive client experience? Now, what determines your marketing strategy? Style of practice you will have, where you're going to work, the area, understanding the market share in that particular area. So these factors, and there isn't anyone like you. I'm going to make a marketing statement. You have no competition. Yes, there's other people doing things out there, but they don't do it the way that you do it. You don't have to compete against anyone. What is the definition of marketing? Because I get asked this a lot. It's never forcing your beliefs on anyone, only sharing what you have discovered. When you have an understanding of the profile of your market area and you pay attention to everything around you, you begin to fit. The whole point is to fit the want, grow the need. I repeat, fit the want, grow the need. And if you don't pay attention, that bubble squeezes in tighter and tighter. There is one thing, and you hear me talking about business, but there's one thing is that my father always made sure, and I will tell you this too, always make sure they are not labels that are coming to see you. They're all human beings. Doesn't matter what their health issue is, doesn't matter. You need to humanize every aspect. One of the things why a lot of the allopathic industry got into a lot of frustration with everyday people, they didn't feel, they treated people like human beings. And so we ended up hating the whole allopathic, and the alternative industry came alive because of that. But I will tell you this, you're not alternative, you're holistic healthcare. This is not about, this is one, everybody's doing this, we're going to do it a different way. It's coming together and it's accelerating more and more together. Everyone in every health industry, from the layperson all the way to the multi-professional designation, says you work with the underlying cause. I hate that statement in marketing. Don't ever use that statement in marketing. I'm working with the underlying cause. Everyone better be working with the underlying cause. But we want our boo-boo taken care of as you're working with the underlying cause. But never forget the human equation. It's a human making the call. It's a human you're asked to do the treatment. And in the presentation, when we do our marketing component of it, we go through exactly on how a human makes a decision. And if you can use it as a master checklist, any marketing material you put out there will have an impact, because people don't make a decision like everyone. This is one of my most loved statements. This is actually a quote from Dr. Dixon Tom. And I will tell you, please put this on your marketing material, put this on your websites. You are a solution for all humans, not disease. You are a solution for all humans. I love this statement big time. You go after market multiple ways at the same time. You do niche marketing, as you saw in the middle here. You choose 12 conditions. You also, as a generalist, your designations, you promote your designations. We can help everybody. You don't market therapies. You educate people on therapies. This is a really big one. I use this. I do this type of therapy. I do this. It only means something for people who knows what that is. I see so much advertising on a website. They're promoting everything that's there. They're going away, hammers, wrenches, screwdrivers. That's your toolkit. Supplements, it's a toolkit. People want to know if you can help them. What type of help provider is each and every one of you? We were in a live class. I'd be asking this. I said, what type of help provider are you? And people will say, I have, a degree in this, or I've had training in this. I go, no, from a business standpoint, you're a solution-focused healer. Your passion is results. Their desire is results. The primary reason anybody picks up the phone to call you, because they're looking for a solution. The positive experience definitely complements, but please, can you help me? I have an issue. Now we're getting calls of, Can you please help me build up my inner shield so I don't get issues? That's going to be a major 4 seasons approach, folks, is the inner shield strategy. Building up the immune system. I mean, that's where proactive is really going to be about, from birth all the way until you're 175, however you feel you can live. Packages, therapies, niches, conditions, designations, general. You don't approach the market with any one, you go simultaneously, all at the same time. This niche marketing is the most dynamic in an hourglass strategy and offering multiple choices. When I market to a niche, I open it up like this. When I market just to a condition, I narrow it into a stream like this. Now, people say, well, I've been told I got to be a specialist. Yes, be a specialist, but also as a generalist, but also within a niche, but also with packages and programs. You see your multiple approach, and it creates a floating opportunity. Marketing tools. These are all things we market our deliverables. Hey, understand the market want. Most important thing, deliverables, the things we choose that fit the market want. Approach the market multiple ways at the same time. How do you put out a message? You use these tools. That's all they are, is again, more tools. How do you effectively utilize a website? How do you use your brand builders? How do you build marketing terminology and tools? That's what these are. These are your educators. These are your communicators. In the center is your website. And we were going through a different website this weekend, and it was like, man, why your website front page is a sales page? Less is best. Use power language. Don't talk about, the world 90% is dying of this as your opening line. That doesn't benefit anybody. You're solution focused. You start with a power statement. 2 types of marketing strategies that we'll go over in a session. One is creating curiosity for strangers. The other is nurturing relationships for people we know. We don't talk to a stranger the same way we talk to a friend. They all don't fit in the same bucket. 2 different strategies and styles completely. And I truly believe the most dynamic way to build any practice is through nurturing relationship, not through creating curiosity. It's good to have this. 95% of our finances goes into this, with maybe 5% here. And I'm being generous. Yet 95% of our clients come from nurturing relationships, not creating curiosity. Hello, how about a shift? Maybe 50-50? What can we do here for our current people and their strategies that we share in the program? Once more, I'm asking you just take a look at things differently. These are all foundational. People are trying things all over the place. The average education in the first 5 years of venture in the health industry is $50,000 to $100,000. When you learn, I spent $3,000. We had somebody who signed a contract, $5,000 a month on a social media campaign. Contract was for 1 year, $60,000 in 1 year. How many new patients do you think it actually generated? That many. All his clients, and it was a multi-million-dollar practice, came from word of mouth. My advice was, why do this? Why not further nurture those relationships with the current people you have? For those of you who are in smaller communities, you know what I'm talking about is nurturing relationships. It's the same thing in larger cities. You get into cells, or what we call circle of influences in a very specific area. Nurture relationships in that particular area. This particular aspect has everything to do with the financial, which is truly out of the 4 pillars, our single greatest weakness. And it doesn't have to be. You don't have to have an accounting degree to manage your finances. However, you have to have it set up so that you understand the numbers. And it isn't by April 15th that we actually know. The first economic clarity you need is billable hours and revenue generation per billable hours. I'm in my clinic 60 hours a week. Okay, that's good for you. Probably because you're inefficient with your systems, if I'm being truly honest with you. But how many hours do you have to bill to be able to pay your bills? Okay, first you need a budget to figure it out. But when you know and do this type of formula, my goal is to make $300,000 a year. I believe every single holistic health practitioner can opportunistically generate 300,000 a year. Well, if you're working 48 weeks a year, and you know what's fascinating for a lot of people that I'm helping these days, they tell me, I haven't had a vacation or take time in 3 or 4 years. That's unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. Everyone that I work with has to be able to schedule 4 weeks a year, if nothing more, for a nice time out, just with their own mindset. Creative time, but you need to take the breaks. What do you think you tell us? If we're really being honest with each other, I say a lot of health professionals are actually hypocritical. You tell us, oh, take a vacation. You have to balance in your life, and you're doing your chart notes 11 o'clock at night. You have to do it all in the allocated time. I want you to have balance in your life. You can give me a million reasons why you can't. I will tell you logistics is the only reason that you can. So 6 hours a day, if I make $260, 6 hours a day, I make this revenue 4 days a week, 48 weeks a year. You see, you can make 300. If you want to make 50, this is what it is. You can literally know when you break it down right to the hour and how much revenue has to be generated. And that's all revenue streams. Then you try to keep your operating costs at 50% of this. We'll say 150,000. Then you take the money and put aside for the taxes. It's around 45,000. So that leaves around 100. You can do that. Someone who makes $100,000 a year, and some of you, I know there's some naturopaths here tonight with us, and I will tell you 100,000 is a blip. I make 100,000. Operating expenses at 50%. That's 50,000. I pay taxes of 14,000. That leaves me 32,000 a year. I have a loan of $2,000 a month or a 300,000 loan. Good luck on paying that back over time. There's a reality to this, and numbers is a reality. The finances tells us everything that happens, and the first thing you see the slide here, calculate how much you need to generate per hour. These are financial statements. They work. Your sales, your cost of goods sold, your overhead, your net income, your cost, your gross profit. In our administration class, we teach this, and by the end of the day, people understand it, and they understand it really, really well. They know it, they understand how to work with it, and we provide templates for this. And it's time to take this part back. If you're a single operator, allocate a time to doing your books. Build a financial communicator. And a communicator covers multiple pieces. In the class, we go through managing financial statements, the accounting, so you can set up for both audit trail and actually internal management. Then we move to administration, which is budgeting and income stream analysis, and then analytics. Oh, I don't have a degree in that. Yeah, it's okay. You don't have to. You don't have to. This is not about maximizing taxes. That's what the accountant does best. I'll tell you what the accountant doesn't do very well, which you are the expert in, is the financial management of your practice day to day. And within that, there are the balance sheet. So this is the macro. The other up here is the micro. You have to have them both. But these things are provided by your accountants in that. And we, in essence, have abdicated this. And I pause because I don't want to give you any disrespect. You need to delegate, which means there's got to be a certain level of this of understanding. So I'll give you a quick little overview here. You see these assets, liabilities, and equity. Those are the three big pieces on this balance sheet. Liabilities, total assets equal total liabilities and equity. That's sort of like the accounting school 101, meaning all of these here must always equal the totals of liabilities and equity. So when I ask you, what is an asset? Often people say, an asset is something I own. Okay, but remember the terminology. Assets are equal to the total liabilities and equity. So say assets I own. Great. What are liabilities? Oh, that's what I owe. Oh, then what is equity? Oh, then it becomes a struggle at that point. Oh, it's the difference. If we say assets equal liabilities and equities, it can't be. So it must be this equal to these two. So the easiest way to explain the terminology, assets are items of value. All this is items of value. Liabilities of what other people own of the assets. Equity is what you own. So in business, your goal is to increase your equity, and other people don't own as much. The challenge with accountanese, it's become a language that we have become afraid of or don't understand and pushed it away. But it's really, how do you spend your money in both the statement of profit and loss and balance sheet from a cash flow perspective that really makes a difference. So definitely you can have your accountants, you can have your bookkeepers doing whatever they need to do. First of all, you set up the books the way you want them to communicate to you, primary rule. Then from that point, understand a little bit and then get it every month, certain statistical information you will get, and you will look it over in your hour, 3 hours every week. Just look at this and we'll help you set up an entire financial communicator that'll give you more control of the finances. And also this, I want you to have all your books and everything else to go into the account by the end of January. There's no friggin' way we should wait till April 15th. Absolutely none. And then find out reactively of how much we owe the previous year. We actually call that the snowball effect. It's actually the first step to earning more and taking home less and eventually potentially going bankrupt. And it comes from success, not struggle. This leads to my passion is budgeting. This is a budget tool that we've had a number of people who utilize in their practices now, where you proactively have a foundational budget and you put the actuals once a month. We'll walk you through step by step on how you do this for yourself. If you want other people to help you review, you can. But the most important thing about numbers here, folks, is the communicator, the stories behind the numbers. I made $10,000 in September one year. The next year I made $6,000. Which is the better year? Look at the numbers. You would logically say the one for 10,000, but I did the 6,000 in 2 weeks. I actually did better in a 2-week period. That's why there's no third party on the planet can tell you what is working or not working in your practice. You need to be able to take control, and you can have third parties. I'm with a lot of people who send us their finance and we talk over this, but they're in tune with it. The only way you can effectively do that from looking at the balance sheet and statement of profit and loss is if there is an industry ratio percentage. When people ask me, is my office expenses, is that a good figure? I don't know. How am I supposed to answer that question? But if you budget $500 and you spend $800 and you say, is that a good figure? Well, 800 is more than 500. We've overspent. But here's the story. There was a huge sale on ink cartridges. It's not always just the number, it's the stories behind. The most important part in the finances, yes, is managing all this stuff, which is a powerful, still simple tool in doing that, but it's actually the stories right here. Having a financial diary. This to me is the single most important tool. There's one thing that I would encourage you to do in the new year's, set an administrative system that works on the finances, but also the income stream. So there's certain components of it that we'll walk through that day in February that will cover all of this, and you'll establish it. Finally, leadership. The pledge, a clarification of your commitment. What are the 5 reasons you will continue to do no matter what happens in your personal life? There's something, 35 years I've been with the holistic healthcare field. I'm just as excited today to be part than I was in 1987 when I started. Actually, I'm more excited now because it's all coming together. Your industry, the holistic healthcare, which incorporates every single one of you who's watching this. Society is going to want you more and more and more. It is your time. I'm trying to encourage every single health practitioner to prepare themselves for the greatest opportunities I have ever seen. And I'm not saying this as a sales pitch. It's proven. Check it out yourself. Basically, you have the presentation. We've done a nerve review. The 4 plans you need to be financial planning, marketing planning, operational planning, organizational planning. As a businessman and a businesswoman, it is how you strategize, and that's what plans are. Entrepreneurs have to be 2 to 3 steps ahead of the present when we get lost in the micro of the moment. And that's part of the key thing of that 3-hour block of time. Yes, you may lose some minor revenue, but when you build your business and it's strong and successful, it builds the rest of it. So, I said 4 and 3 to me is the ultimate, but 3.5 is with patience, and a half a day is business 101. I still want you to play. I want you to have that thing. I'm getting people with 5 years in practice talking about burnout and frustration. I mean, that's supposed to be happening when you're in their 15 to 20 years. So we're seeing it a lot more accelerated, but it's there. The business is there, and it has to be taken care of. And if you do, buts become a coexisting end. And we just have to invest some time and energy and some financial resources in making that work. It is the bottom line, really. Okay, so take charge of leadership, listen outside the bubble. These are tips. Adjust constantly to market want. Don't ever get in the comfort zone. The best example we have of that, Sears, they got comfortable with the way they've done. They refused to adjust. Sears doesn't exist anymore. You need to change, clarify and sort your deliverables, what we offer, and deliverables, who's going to offer them. Map out business of health strategic models, proactively plan, actively manage. So that's how you take charge of leadership and taking charge of operations. Optimize your internal and external team. And we do this through what we call a mapping exercise. It's the 5 key result tasks, the 80-20 rule that we really focus on. Work on outcome-based medicine models forever and ever. Optimize efficiency, effectiveness, and time with optimal schedules, 7 primary systems, 6 stages of flow. Proactively plan and actively manage. You're going to see this down at the bottom in every single one of them. It's because that literally is what you need to do. Take charge marketing, understand the micro and macro wants, list the deliverables to market and advertise, clarify your toolkits, and proactively plan and actively manage. And finally, with administration, make it a New Year's resolutions for 2 things. Number 1, you're going to take 4 weeks off in that year. I will not work with anybody who does not take time out. Isn't that horrible? But the worst thing is, everybody that I work with, that I help, they must allocate time in their schedules to take time out. And if they don't, I refuse to work with them. It's part of a contract of commitment with me. Horrible person. You such horrible. Anyway, set up personal and professional budget. Like I said, a personal and a business budget. When it comes down to the business budget, it's one thing, but then we look at you. How do I measure economic success? Number 1, that you're taking out the money you budgeted for ongoing. And number 2, you're moving money into reserve fund for those what ifs. In business, we always have 2 bank accounts. Just a tip of what you're going to go through. Have accounting, administrations all set up, follow audit trail, receipt management. So if someone calls you for an audit, you say, come tomorrow morning at 9:00. And absolutely proactively plan and actively manage. It's in your hands. I'm trying to find the right, because my challenge has always been, this has been, again, I saw little icons. I'm a tech dinosaur, please. That's why I don't touch the computer, because I'll blow it up. One thing that I've seen, my greatest challenge is the right words to create the action step, which is a lot of health providers have with their patients too. And motivation, inspiration, it's the fix, gets the high, but it also empowerment. You want to empower your patients. That's what get long term. So I'm hoping I can empower you, whether you do this work in the presentations or you feel it's just not time. I implore you, empower you to please make business part of the journey that you're on. But you have to do it from a sense of ownership of it, not through having all kinds of other people. And then when you do get other people, it's delegated. So prove me right, not wrong, make a difference. This isn't, we do talk about recessions. I think an investment in health supersedes a lot of other disposable income. We just have to show how important health fits in people's lifestyle equations. And fear isn't the way to do it. Being background of business, there's equations in everything I do. And, it's just how does health fit? And that's a complete strategy that you can develop for yourselves called the health fit model. And basically, when people have a health issue, why do they call you? It's not just to resolve because it inhibits something that they would like to do. So create a health fit model by building a business foundational template. And health and success always